This is R&M Reviews, and I'm R. Wexler on the forums, and I'm going to do a quick video demo of the Katana. And the Katana is a Genesis mod, meaning it uses stainless steel mesh instead of like silica wick. But right now, I think my coil's around probably in the ballpark of 1.3 to 1.7 ohms. But I'm using 36 gauge Kanthal wire instead of the normal 32. And also, this is a Katana V1, which had a smaller hole for the drip tip, so I've actually modded this drip tip to fit better. I just stuck it in my drill and filed it down. And another little mod I did on it is I bored out the air hole, so it's about 1.5 millimeters now, which means that there's less throat hit, but greater airflow over the coil, thus more vapor. So I'm not going to do a full video because I'm actually on vacation right now. I just had it with me and I thought I'd do a quick review, but take a couple of toots and then tell you what I think. Vapor production's pretty perfect, but and modding the airflow hole made a huge difference in vapor production. That was actually a suggestion to me by Mac206 on the forums, and his YouTube name is Marco Seattle 206, who is a great Katana video and also a great Orion video. But vapor production's pretty great. It's the best that I've seen on a Genesis mod that I've owned. I think Marco has me beat, but got to give all creds to him for this one. And what really stands out about the Katana, like most Genesis mods, flavor. It is really, really flavorful, and this is I think it's a 7030 PGVG juice. It's Pink Spot from pinkspоtvapors.com. It's one of my favorite juices, and see in there. It's got a nice 3 ml tank, and as you can tell, might not be able to tell, the wick inside is not touching either of the posts on the inside, and then a little condensation on there. The wick that attaches to my coil isn't touching either the grounded or positive post. And I have no hot spots on my coil. They all light up evenly when it's dry, and they all heat up evenly. And, yeah. I know a lot of people have issues mastering the Genesis style Addy, but what it comes down to, as long as you've oxidized your mesh properly, I have been using a flathead screwdriver, little jeweler screwdriver I think, to fiddle with my coils, and especially spacing out the wick from the posts and the distance of the coils from each other, as well as the distance of the coil at the post to the coil at the wick, keeping it as short as possible while still having distance between the posts and the wick. But once you get it down, which takes, the first time I ever set up a Genesis, it was a line V1, and I probably tried 10-15 different wicks and at least 30 coils, and I never really fully got it. Then I had a Sturm G tank, and I tried at least 25 different wicks and probably fewer coils than that because I kept fucking them up. But Katana is much easier to set up than either of those two, especially the Sturm G tank, which is kind of a monster, and I really wouldn't suggest it to anyone who doesn't have the time to fiddle with it or doesn't have prior experience with the Genesis mod. But the Katana, I definitely would suggest. It's a great first Genesis mod to own, and vapor's great. It's really easy to refill wicks well. And with mine, usually there's a little screw right there where that open hole is, and I just keep it open. I find that it wicks better that way, and sometimes when you put the screw back in, it creates a vacuum in the tank, which cuts off all wicking. But I haven't really had any leaks leaving it open, and it works pretty well. I guess the only downside to the V1 too is the drip tip hole is kind of limiting. If I hadn't modded this, I'd be confined to either my trippy tips, which can sit kind of wobbly in there, and I don't really take them out of the house too much, or the plastic Delrin one that it comes with, which kind of sucks, but take a few more drags. That's really all I have to say about it, but really beautiful mod. I've polished this one up a few times. I know the V1 is typically a little bit less shiny than the V2, but or V3 that's just coming out now, but works really well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Take a couple of last drags for you, but also got to point out the flavor is really outstanding. Every mod I own changes the flavor up a little bit. Like I have 3 different tank systems set up now with Pink Spot. I have a UFS with a Patriot at 7.4 volts, a 1.5 ohm OD set up at 6 volts, and now the Katana set up at 3.7, and they all have different flavors to them. I think the 3.7 OD is a little bit more citrusy, but the flavor is more muted. The Patriot's a little bit sweeter, but also more muted at 7.4 volts. But the Katana really brings out like all of the little subtle nuances in each and every flavor that I've tried in it. And since I've had it, I've been going through about 2 full tanks worth every day, so about 6 mils a day in it, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes less, depending on how much I use my ODs and my UFS, but it's been pretty much my all-day vape, and I really like it. Even with a solid coil setup in it, I still find myself fiddling with it here and there to stop it from shorting against the posts or readjusting my coil, so I know that as much surface area of the coil as possible touches the wick, but works pretty well. And as you can tell, I'm taking pretty long, slow drags and chain vamping it to some extent, but no dry hits, wicks perfectly, and sometimes when it does kind of start getting dry, I will tilt it upside down, tap the button a few times, and it usually wets the coil pretty quickly, and it doesn't leak out that top hole. Wow, really tasty. And for a little bit of comparison, I'll take a few rips off of my other 3 mods I have set up here. So this is 7.4 volt GGTS with 2 18650s and a Patriot, which is at 3.8 ohms, I believe. Might be more after using it for probably 10 mils worth now, but here it is. So vapor production is obviously better with the Patriot when it is 7.4 volts, so it's close to 150% of the wattage that the Katana is running at, but it's a different beast altogether. And also in this, I don't think I've shown this in a video yet, or if it'll even show up properly, but that's my new rounded button that I made for my GGs. And you might see a couple of these up for sale in the classifieds by me. But that's that. Here is my once matte nickel, now brass GGTB with medium mode Odysseus and brass magnet button and new stainless steel caps. And another favorite vape of mine is my Provari V2 with a 1.8 ohm coil wrapped around stainless steel mesh with a short strand of 1mm silica wick to prevent the plastic from melting. But that's another really tasty vape. But take one more off the Katana, because that was really the point of the video. Just got off on a little tangent, but here you go. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. That's all I got. Later.